The girl's hands moved fast, desperate, hidden from the man gripping her arm. 3 words in sign language that most people would never notice. But Marcus Cole noticed. He'd spent 30 years reading those silent words, and what she signed made his blood turn to ice. "He's not my dad." The man smiled at passers-by like nothing was wrong. But Marcus saw the girl's terror. He saw her pleading eyes. And in that moment, everything else disappeared. He revved his Harley's engine once, then he stepped directly into the man's path. Before we continue, tell me which city and country you're watching from. Subscribe and follow this story to the end. You won't believe what happens next. Marcus Cole had seen a lot of things in his 52 years. He'd buried friends. He'd held his dying father's hand. He'd watched his little sister struggle through a world that refused to hear her. But nothing prepared him for what he saw in that parking lot. The girl couldn't have been more than 14. Small. Thin. Black hair pulled back in a ponytail. She walked stiffly beside a man in his mid-40s, his hand clamped around her upper arm like a vice. To everyone else, they looked like father and daughter. Maybe she was being difficult. Maybe she'd thrown a tantrum in the store. Parents dealt with teenagers all the time. But Marcus wasn't everyone else. He'd parked his Harley 3 spaces away, adjusting his helmet, ready to meet his brothers at the diner across the street. Just another Saturday afternoon. Nothing special. Then the girl's hands moved. Quick. Subtle. Hidden from the man beside her, but visible to Marcus. 3 signs. "He's not my dad." Marcus froze. His heart slammed against his ribs. His fingers tightened around his helmet. The girl's eyes met his for just a second. Desperate. Terrified. Begging. And then she looked away like nothing had happened. The man kept walking, pulling her toward a white sedan at the far end of the lot. Marcus didn't think. He didn't plan. He didn't weigh the consequences. He revved his engine. The sound exploded across the parking lot, loud enough to make heads turn. The man stopped. Marcus stepped off his bike and walked directly into his path. "Let her go." The man's smile was calm, practiced. "Excuse me, I said let her go, now." The man laughed, but there was something cold behind it. "She's my niece. We're just heading home. She's having a bad day. I'm not asking again." The girl stood frozen, her whole body trembling. Her hands hung at her sides, but her eyes were locked on Marcus with a hope so fragile it hurt to look at. The man's grip tightened on her arm. "Look, I don't know who you think you are, but this is none of your business. You made it my business when you put your hands on her." People were starting to notice now. A woman loading groceries stopped to stare. A couple near the entrance whispered to each other. Someone pulled out a phone. The man's jaw tightened. "I'm not going to stand here and explain myself to some biker. Get out of my way." He tried to push past Marcus. Marcus didn't move. "Touch me and I'll call the police," the man said, his voice rising. "Good, call them." Something flickered in the man's eyes. Fear. Just for a second, but Marcus caught it. "This is ridiculous," the man snapped. "Come on, let's go." He yanked the girl's arm hard. She stumbled, crying out in pain. And something inside Marcus snapped. He grabbed the man's wrist and twisted it away from the girl with a grip that came from years of working with his hands, years of riding, years of protecting what mattered. "I said let her go." The man's face contorted. "Get your hands off me. Someone call the police. This man is assaulting me." "Good idea," Marcus said. "Let's wait for them together." The girl had backed away. Her arms wrapped around herself, tears streaming down her face. The man looked around wildly. More people were watching now. Phones were out. There was no clean exit anymore. "You're making a huge mistake," he hissed at Marcus. "Maybe, but I've made worse." For a long moment they stood there. The tension was thick enough to choke on. Then the man made his move. He shoved Marcus hard, breaking free, and ran. Not toward the girl, not toward his car, just ran, disappearing between parked vehicles before anyone could react. Marcus didn't chase him. His priority was the girl standing alone and shaking like a leaf in a storm. He approached her slowly, keeping his hands visible. "Hey, it's okay. He's gone." She looked at him with eyes that had seen too much. His hands moved, forming the signs he'd learned decades ago. "You're safe now. I understand you." Her whole body seemed to collapse with relief. She signed back frantically, her hands almost too fast to follow. "He's been following me. For weeks. No one believed me. I thought no one would ever—" "I believe you," Marcus signed. "I'm not going anywhere." She broke down completely, then sobbing without sound, her shoulders heaving with a grief that had been building for longer than anyone knew. Marcus knelt down to her level, careful not to touch her, without permission. "What's your name?" She spelled it out slowly. Lily. "Lily. That's a beautiful name. I'm Marcus, and I promise you, I'm going to help you." The police arrived 12 minutes later. 2 officers stepped out of the patrol car, their expressions professional, but cautious. The older one, a heavy-set man with graying temples, approached Marcus first. "Sir, we got a call about an altercation. You want to tell us what happened?" Marcus explained everything. The girl's sign language, the man's behavior, the way he'd run when confronted. The officer listened, taking notes, his face unreadable. "And you know sign language how— My sister's deaf. I learned when I was 12. The officer glanced at Lily, who stood a few feet away, her arms still wrapped around herself. "We're going to need to talk to her. She's scared. Go slow." They did. The younger officer, a woman with kind eyes and patient hands, approached Lily gently. She didn't know sign language, so Marcus translated. Lily told them everything. The man had been following her for 6 weeks. She'd first noticed him outside her school, standing across the street, just watching. Then at the library. Then at the bus stop. Always at a distance. Always staring. She'd told her mother, but her mother worked 2 jobs and was barely home. She'd told a teacher, but the teacher said she was probably imagining it. She'd told herself she was being paranoid. Until today. Today, he'd been waiting at the mall entrance. He'd smiled at her, said he knew her mother, said she looked lost and he could help. Then his hand was on her arm, and he was walking her toward his car, and no one around them saw anything wrong. I tried to scream. Lily signed, her hands shaking. "But I couldn't. I can't, my voice doesn't work right. So I signed. I didn't think anyone would understand. I had to try." Marcus's throat tightened as he translated. The officer with kind eyes wrote everything down. Then she looked at Marcus. "You may have saved her life today." "I just happened to be here. That's not nothing." They took descriptions. They checked for cameras. They promised to file a report and increase patrols in the area. But Marcus heard what they weren't saying. Without a name, without a face on record, without evidence beyond a terrified girl's testimony, there wasn't much they could do. The man was still out there, and he knew someone had seen him now. Lily's mother arrived 20 minutes after the police called her. Her name was Grace Chen, and she ran across the parking lot like the ground was on fire. Her face twisted with a terror Marcus recognized immediately. A parent's terror. She grabbed Lily and held her so tight it looked almost painful, her whole body shaking with sobs. "Oh my God, Lily! Oh my God, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry!" Lily didn't sign anything. She just buried her face in her mother's shoulder and cried. Marcus stood back, giving them space. Finally, Grace looked up at him. Her eyes were red, her makeup smeared, her expression a mixture of gratitude and confusion. "You're the one who helped her." Marcus nodded. "The police told me what you did." Her voice cracked. I don't know how to thank you." "You don't have to." Grace shook her head. "I work 2 jobs. I'm never home. I kept telling her she was imagining things. She broke off, unable to continue. "She's safe now. That's what matters." "Is she—" Grace's voice was hollow. "The police said they can't find him. They said without more evidence." "I know." "So he's still out there, watching, waiting." Marcus didn't have an answer for that. Lily pulled back from her mother and signed something. Grace didn't understand, so Marcus translated. "She says he always comes back. He never stops." Grace's face crumpled. Marcus reached into his wallet and pulled out a card. It had the Iron Guardian's MC logo on it, along with his phone number. "If anything happens, anything at all, you call me. Day or night." Grace took the card like it was a lifeline. "Why would you do this? You don't even know us." Marcus looked at Lily, who was watching him with eyes that had seen too much too young. "I know what it's like to have someone who can't speak up for themselves," he said. "My sister's deaf. I spent my whole childhood watching people ignore her, dismiss her, treat her like she didn't matter." He paused. "Lily matters. And I'm not going to let anyone forget that." The clubhouse was loud when Marcus walked in that evening. Bikes lined the front. Music thumped from the speakers. The smell of beer and leather filled the air. His brothers were scattered around the room playing pool, arguing about football, laughing at jokes Marcus had probably heard 100 times before. Tank Williams spotted him first. Tank was the club's vice president, built like the vehicle he was named after, with arms the size of small trees and a heart bigger than anyone gave him credit for. "Marcus, you're late, brother. We started without you." Something came up. Tank's smile faded. He knew that tone. "What happened?" Marcus grabbed a beer and sat down at a table in the back. Tank followed his expression, serious now. Marcus told him everything. When he finished, Tank sat back, his jaw tight. "Jesus Christ." "Yeah. And the cops can't do anything, not without more evidence. The guy's careful. He knows how close he can get without crossing the line. So he's just out there, free. For now." Tank was quiet for a moment. Then he leaned forward. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking that girl's not going to sleep tonight. I'm thinking her mother's going to spend every second terrified. I'm thinking that man is already planning his next move. And I'm thinking the system's going to fail her, like it fails a lot of people." Tank studied him. "You want to do something about it?" "I want to make sure she's safe." "That's not the same thing." "No, it's not." Rosa Vega walked over a bottle of whiskey in her hand. She'd been with the club for 10 years, road captain tough as nails with a past she rarely talked about, but everyone respected. "I heard you talking," she said, sliding into the booth beside Tank. "Tell me about this girl." Marcus repeated the story. Rosa listened without interrupting, her dark eyes sharp and focused. When he finished, she poured herself a drink. "I know what it's like," she said quietly. "Being young, being scared, having nobody believe you." Tank and Marcus both looked at her. "I was 16 when it happened to me. Different circumstances, but the same feeling. Like screaming into a void and nobody hearing." She drained her glass. "If you're doing something about this, I'm in." Tank nodded slowly. "Me too. But we need to be smart. We can't go vigilante. That brings heat on everyone." "I'm not talking about vigilante," Marcus said. "I'm talking about watching, protecting, making sure she's not alone. And if he shows up again, Then we make sure he doesn't get away twice. Not everyone agreed. Old Pete had been with the Iron Guardians longer than anyone. He'd helped found the chapter 30 years ago. His word carried weight. And his word was no. "This is a mistake," he said, standing at the back of the room when Marcus brought it to the full club. "We're not cops. We're not social workers. We start getting involved in every sad story that comes our way. We lose focus on what matters." "What matters, Pete?" Rosa's voice was cold. "Looking tough. Protecting our reputation. Protecting this club. Our brothers. Our families. That girl has a family too. A mother who works herself to death and can't be there to protect her. That's not our problem. The hell it isn't." The room was tense now, members shifting in their seats, glancing between the old guard and the new. Marcus stood up. "Pete's right about one thing. This could bring heat. This could cause problems. But I'm going to ask you all one question." He paused, looking around the room. "If it was your daughter out there, if it was your sister, your niece, your granddaughter, would you want someone to step up? Or would you want everyone to look the other way because it wasn't their problem?" Silence. Tank spoke first. "I'm in." Rosa nodded. "Me too." One by one, hands went up around the room. Not everyone, Pete and a few others, stayed still, but enough. More than enough. Marcus looked at his brothers, feeling something he hadn't felt in a long time. Purpose. "All right, let's figure out how we keep this girl safe." 3 days passed. 3 days of driving past Lily's apartment. 3 days of watching her walk to the bus stop, her head down her shoulders hunched. 3 days of seeing the fear that never left her eyes. She spotted Marcus on the 3rd day. He'd parked his bike across the street, trying to be subtle, but Lily had learned to notice things other people missed. She walked over slowly, her hands stuffed in her pockets. When she reached him, she signed one word, "Y." Marcus got off his bike and signed back. "Because someone should. You don't know me. I know you were brave enough to ask for help. That's enough." Lily's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't cry. She'd done enough crying. "He's still out there," she signed. "I can feel him watching." "I know. The police say there's nothing they can do." "I know." So what happens now? Marcus looked at her. This girl who had been failed by everyone who was supposed to protect her, who had found the courage to reach out to a stranger who was still standing despite everything. "Now you let us help. You're not alone anymore, Lily. And I'm not going anywhere until this is over." She stared at him for a long moment. Then she signed 2 words that hit him harder than he expected. "Promise me." Marcus didn't hesitate. "I promise." And somewhere across the city, in a quiet room with maps spread across a table and photographs pinned to a wall, a man with a forgettable face and empty eyes smiled. He'd found her again. He always did. And this time, he wouldn't make any mistakes. The call came at 2:47 in the morning. Marcus grabbed his phone before the second ring, his heart already pounding. "He's here." Grace's voice was barely a whisper, tight with terror. Lily saw him outside, across the street, just standing there. "Lock the doors. Don't turn on any lights. I'm on my way." Marcus was dressed and on his bike in under 3 minutes. The streets were empty, the city silent, except for the roar of his engine cutting through the darkness. He called Tank while he rode. "I need you at Lily's building. Now." Tank didn't ask questions. "Rosa and I are already moving." By the time Marcus pulled up to the apartment complex, a patrol car was parked out front. 2 officers stood near the entrance talking to Grace. Lily huddled behind her mother, arms wrapped around herself, her face ghost white in the dim streetlight. Marcus approached slowly, hands visible. The older officer turned. "You the one the mother called?" "Yeah." The officer's eyes flicked to Marcus's jacket, the Iron Guardian's patch visible in the glow of the streetlight. "We checked the perimeter. Nobody's there." "He was there." Lily's voice came out small, broken. "I saw him. He was watching my window." "We believe you," the younger officer said, but her tone was careful, measured. "But without actually seeing him ourselves." "What?" Grace's voice cracked. "You can't do anything again." "Ma'am, we're doing everything we can with what we have." "That's not enough." Marcus stepped forward. "This is the second time in less than a week. You know that. We're aware of the previous incident. Then do something about it." The older officer's jaw tightened. "Sir, I understand you're concerned, but there's a process. We'll increase patrols. We'll flag the address. If he shows up again, it might be too late." Silence. The officer didn't have an answer for that, because there wasn't one. 2 motorcycles rumbled into the lot. Tank and Rosa parked near Marcus's bike and walked over. The officers tensed slightly, but didn't move. Rosa looked at Grace. "You must be Lily's mom." Grace nodded, uncertain. "We're here to help. Whatever you need." The older officer stepped forward. "Look, we appreciate the concern, but this is a police matter." Tank's voice was low, steady. "Is it because from where I'm standing, it doesn't look like much is being done?" "We're following procedure. Procedure doesn't stop a man from standing outside a 14-year-old girl's window at 3 in the morning." "Enough." Marcus's voice cut through the tension. "We're not here to cause problems. We're here because they needed someone to show up, and we did." The officers didn't argue. They gave Grace their contact information again, reminded her to call if anything changed, and left. The sound of their patrol car fading into the distance felt louder than it should have. Lily stepped closer to Marcus, her whole body trembling. "He was really there. I'm not making it up." "I know." "Then why won't anyone do anything?" Rosa crouched down to Lily's level. "Because the system is built for proof, not fear. And sometimes the people who need help the most are the ones it fails." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "So what am I supposed to do?" "Let us help. That's what we're here for." Grace pulled Lily close, her face twisted with exhaustion and fear. "I can't keep doing this. I can't keep watching her jump every time a car drives by. I can't keep wondering if tonight's the night he actually gets to her." "You're not doing it alone anymore," Marcus said. Grace looked at him with red-rimmed eyes. "Why? Why would you do this for strangers? Because I know what it's like when the people who are supposed to help can't. And I know what it's like to worry about someone you love." Grace stared at him for a long moment. Then slowly she nodded. Okay. Tank stepped forward. "We're going to set up a rotation. Someone will always be watching. If he comes back, we'll know. And then what? Then we make sure he never gets close to Lily again." Back at the clubhouse, Marcus gathered the core group around a table in the back room. Tank Rosa and 2 others, Victor Hack Reyes, who was good with technology and had a knack for finding information most people couldn't, and Tommy Brennan, who'd been with the club almost as long as Marcus. "We need to find this guy before he makes another move," Marcus said. Hack pulled out his laptop. "I've been digging. If this guy's been doing this for a while, there'll be traces, complaints that went nowhere, sightings that didn't connect. How long? Give me 48 hours. Maybe less." Rosa leaned forward. "What about Lily?" "She can't stay locked in that apartment forever." "We take shifts," Marcus said. "School, bus stop, Anywhere she goes, one of us is watching. Tommy nodded slowly. This is serious, Marcus. If we're wrong about this guy, we're not wrong. But if we are, then we've wasted some time watching over a scared kid. I can live with that. The room fell silent. Tank spoke first. I'll take the morning shift. School drop-off. Rosa nodded. I've got afternoons. Bus stop and after school. I'll handle nights, Marcus said. And Hack, I need everything you can find. Every complaint, every sighting, every digital footprint this guy might have left. On it. As the others filed out, Tommy hung back. You know Pete's not happy about this. Pete's never happy about anything. He's got a point, though. This could blow back on all of us. Marcus turned to face him. You have a daughter, Tommy. Yeah. What would you want someone to do if this was happening to her? Tommy was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. I'd want them to do exactly what we're doing. Then we're on the same page. It took Hack 36 hours. He found a report from a town 2 hours away. A girl matching Lily's age had filed a complaint about a man following her near a community center. The description was vague average height. Brown hair, glasses, but the behavior was identical. Always watching. Always just far enough away to avoid direct confrontation. The case had been closed due to lack of evidence. That's him, Marcus said, staring at the screen. Maybe, Hack said. But I found more. 2 other towns. Same pattern, same behavior. All cases closed. Rosa's jaw tightened. He's been doing this for years. And he's never been caught because he knows exactly how close he can get without crossing the legal line. Until now. Marcus looked at the map on Hack's screen. 3 towns. 3 victims. All within a 200-mile radius. He's hunting, Hack said quietly. And hunters have patterns. Then we find the pattern. Already working on it. He seems to target communities with large deaf populations or schools for the deaf, places where kids might have trouble being heard. Marcus's stomach turned. This wasn't random, this wasn't opportunistic. This was calculated, methodical evil. He picks victims who can't scream for help. Looks that way. Rosa slammed her hand on the table. We need to find this son of a bitch. Now! We will, Marcus said. But we do it right. We document everything. We follow every lead. And when we find him, we hand everything over to the police so they can actually put him away. And if they don't, then we figure out our next move. But first we find him. The next morning, Marcus drove past Lily's apartment on his way to meet Tank. She was walking to the bus stop with her mother, her head down her steps, quick and nervous. Grace spotted him and gave a small wave. Lily looked up, saw him, and something in her shoulders relaxed just slightly. Marcus followed at a distance until they reached the bus stop. He waited until Lily was safely on the bus before pulling away. His phone buzzed. Tank. I've got eyes on the school. She's inside. Everything looks clear. Good. Keep me posted. Will do. Hey, Marcus. Yeah, we're doing the right thing. I know. He hung up and headed to the diner across town where he was supposed to meet Hack. Hack was already there, laptop open, coffee untouched. Found something. Marcus slid into the booth. Talk to me. The community center where that first girl was followed. It has security cameras. Most of the footage was deleted after the case was closed, but I managed to pull some archives from a cloud backup. He turned the laptop to face Marcus. The image was grainy, low quality, but clear enough. A white sedan parked across the street from the community center. And in the driver's seat, barely visible through the windshield, a man with brown hair and glasses. Can you enhance it? Already tried. This is the best I can get. But look at this. Hack pulled up another image. Different angle, same parking lot. The sedan's license plate was partially visible. I ran a search. The plate's registered to a rental company. I'm tracking down the rental records now. How long? Could be a few hours. Could be a few days. These companies don't exactly hand out customer information. Keep pushing. Marcus stared at the image. The man in the car looked so ordinary. So forgettable. The kind of face you'd pass on the street 1,000 times and never remember. That was what made him dangerous. There's something else, Hack said quietly. What? The girl from that community center. The one who filed the complaint. What about her? She disappeared 6 months after the case was closed. Marcus's blood went cold. Disappeared how? Ran away according to the official report. Left a note saying she couldn't take it anymore. Police looked for her for a few weeks, then moved on. They think she ran away. That's what the report says. But you don't think so? Hack shook his head slowly. I think she didn't run away. I think he got to her. Marcus sat back, his mind racing. This wasn't just stalking. This wasn't just some creep who got his kicks from watching. This was something much darker. We need to find him. Now, before he gets to Lily. I'm working as fast as I can. Work faster. That afternoon, Marcus went to see Lily. She was sitting on the front steps of her apartment building when he pulled up a book open on her lap. But she wasn't reading. Her eyes were scanning the street, watching every car that passed, every person who walked by. She looked up when she heard his bike. Marcus parked and walked over, sitting down on the steps beside her. Not too close. Just close enough. How are you holding up? She signed slowly, her movements tired. I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see him. That's normal, after what you've been through. Is it because it doesn't feel normal? It feels like I'm going crazy. You're not crazy, Lily. You're scared. There's a difference. She looked at him, her eyes searching his face. My mom thinks I should see a therapist, someone who knows sign language. That might help. I don't want to talk about it. I just want it to be over. I know. And it will be. I promise. You keep saying that. But he's still out there. Marcus took a breath. He'd promised himself he wouldn't lie to her. She deserved better than that. You're right. He's still out there. But we're getting closer. We found something evidence that he's done this before. To other girls. Lily's face went pale. Other girls? We think so. The police couldn't catch him before, but this time is different. This time we're not going to let him slip away. How do you know? Because we're not giving up, no matter how long it takes. Lily was quiet for a long moment. Then she signed something that made Marcus's chest tighten. I used to think I was invisible. Like nobody could see me because I can't talk like everyone else. Like I didn't matter. Lily, but then you saw me. In that parking lot when nobody else did. You saw me. Marcus turned to face her fully. You were never invisible, Lily. The world just wasn't paying attention. But I was. And I'm not going to stop. Tears slipped down her cheeks, but she didn't wipe them away. My dad used to say that he'd never stop watching out for me. What happened to him? He died, 3 years ago. Car accident. I was in the car too. That's how I lost my hearing. Marcus felt like he'd been punched in the gut. Lily, I'm so sorry. The doctor said I was lucky to survive. But sometimes I don't feel lucky. Sometimes I feel like I lost everything that day. You didn't lose everything. You still have your mom. You still have your life. And now you have us. She looked at him with eyes that had seen too much pain for someone so young. Do you really believe we can stop him? Yes. Why? Because I've seen what happens when people decide to fight instead of give up. And I've seen what happens when someone believes in them. You believed in me when you signed those words in that parking lot. Now I'm asking you to keep believing. Lily wiped her eyes and nodded slowly. Okay, I'll try. That's all I'm asking. That night, Marcus's phone rang. Hack's voice was urgent. I got it, the rental records. And the sedan was rented to a Gerald Hoffman, former substitute teacher, let go from 3 different school districts in the past 10 years. Why? Complaints from students, nothing ever proven but enough to make the schools nervous. What kind of complaints? The kind we're dealing with now. Following. Watching. Making kids uncomfortable. Marcus gripped the phone tighter. Where is he now? That's the thing. He doesn't have a permanent address. He moves around, stays in motels, short-term rentals, never in one place for more than a few weeks. But you can track him. I'm working on it. He used a credit card at a gas station 2 towns over yesterday. If he's still in the area, find him, Hack. Whatever it takes. I will. But Marcus, yeah, there's something else you need to know. The girl who disappeared, the one from the community center. What about her? I found her. She's alive. She's in a group home 3 states away. She didn't run away. She was placed in protective custody after she finally told someone what happened. What did happen? Hack's voice was heavy. He grabbed her, outside her house. She fought back, screamed loud enough for a neighbor to hear. He ran. They never caught him, but she was too traumatized to stay. Her family moved her across the country to keep her safe. Marcus closed his eyes. She got away. She got lucky. But Marcus, if we don't find this guy soon... I know, Lily might not be as lucky. He hung up and stared at the wall of his apartment, his mind racing. Gerald Hoffman. A name, a face, a pattern. Now he just needed to find him before it was too late. His phone buzzed again. This time it was Rosa. Marcus, we've got a problem. What? I'm at the school. Lily's teacher just told me she didn't show up for class today. Marcus's blood turned to ice. What do you mean she didn't show up? I watched her get on the bus this morning. She got on the bus, but she never got off at school. Marcus was already grabbing his keys. Find out which stop she got off at. I'm on my way. He slammed through the door and jumped on his bike, his heart pounding so hard he could barely breathe. Lily was missing, and somewhere out there Gerald Hoffman was waiting. Marcus's hands were shaking as he gripped the handlebars. He couldn't remember the last time he'd felt fear like this, raw, primal, consuming. Lily was gone. He dialed Grace's number while weaving through traffic. Grace, it's Marcus. Is Lily with you? What? No. She's at school. I put her on the bus this morning. She never made it to school. The silence on the other end was deafening. What do you mean she never made it? I watched her get on the bus. I know. Rosa's at the school now. Lily got on the bus but got off before it reached the school. Grace's voice cracked into a sob. Oh God, no. He has her. He has my baby. We don't know that yet. I need you to stay calm. Call the police. Tell them everything. I'm going to find her. Marcus, please find her. She's all I have. I will. I promise. He hung up and called Tank. I heard, Tank said before Marcus could speak. Rosa called me. I'm heading to the bus route now. Which stop did she get off at? 4th one, corner of Madison and Pine, about 6 blocks from the school. Meet me there. Marcus pushed his bike harder, running yellow lights, ignoring speed limits. Nothing mattered except finding Lily. 6 blocks. Why would she get off 6 blocks from school unless someone told her to? Unless someone was waiting for her? He reached the corner of Madison and Pine in 12 minutes. Tank was already there, his massive frame hunched over his phone. Anything? Marcus asked, jumping off his bike. Nothing. I talked to the bus driver. He said she got off here like normal, started walking toward the school, then turned down that side street. Did he see anyone else? He wasn't paying attention. Had a whole bus full of kids to worry about. Marcus looked down the side street. Quiet. Residential. The kind of place where nobody would notice a man talking to a teenage girl. She wouldn't just walk off, Marcus said. Not after everything that's happened. Something made her go that way. Or someone. Rosa's bike roared up behind them. She was off before the engine died. I checked the school again. None of her friends have seen her. Her phone's going straight to voicemail. He has her phone, Marcus said. He'd be smart enough to turn it off. So what do we do? Marcus forced himself to think, to breathe, to push past the panic clawing at his chest. Hack found out where Hoffman's been staying, a motel about 40 minutes from here. If he grabbed her, that's where he'd take her. We should call the cops, Rosa said. Grace is calling them now, but by the time they get organized, by the time they get a warrant, by the time they do anything, it might be too late. Marcus nodded. So we go, Tank said. Now. We go now. They rode in formation, 3 bikes, cutting through the city like arrows. Marcus's mind raced faster than his engine. How had Hoffman gotten to her? He'd been so careful. They'd been watching her constantly. But not this morning. This morning, Marcus had watched her get on the bus and assumed she was safe. He'd trusted the system to do its job. The system had failed. Again. His phone buzzed. Hack. Marcus, I've got something. Hoffman checked out of the motel 2 days ago. What? Where did he go? I don't know yet, but I found something else. He's got a storage unit on the south side of town. Rented it 6 months ago under a fake name, but the credit card matches. Send me the address. Already done. Marcus, be careful. If he's there, I know. He signaled to Tank and Rosa, and they changed direction, heading south. The storage facility was a maze of metal units stretching across 2 acres. The kind of place where people kept their boats, their furniture, their secrets. Marcus parked outside the gate and studied the layout. Unit 47, Hack said through his earpiece. 2nd row from the back. Can you get us inside? Gate code's 7749. Security cameras are on a loop. You've got about 15 minutes before anyone notices. That's enough. They moved through the facility on foot, staying low, staying quiet. Marcus's heart pounded with every step. If Lily was here, if she was still alive. He couldn't think about the alternative. Unit 47 was at the end of a row, a rusted padlock hanging from the door. Tank pulled out a bolt cutter and snapped it in one motion. Marcus grabbed the handle and pulled the door up. The unit was empty. No, not empty. There were items scattered across the concrete floor. Papers, photographs, maps. Rosa picked up one of the photographs, and her face went white. Marcus? She handed it to him. It was a picture of Lily, walking to school, sitting on the steps of her apartment, standing at the bus stop. There were dozens of them, hundreds, all of Lily. And at the bottom of the pile, a hand-drawn map of her neighborhood with her apartment circled in red. He's been planning this for weeks, Tank said, his voice thick with anger. Maybe months. Marcus looked at the map. There were other markings on it, notes in small, precise handwriting. School schedule, bus route, mother's work hours. He read them aloud, his stomach churning. He knows everything about her. But where is she now? Marcus studied the map more closely. There was another location circled, an address he didn't recognize. Hack, I need you to look up an address for me. 1847 Riverside Drive. A pause. Then Hack's voice came back, urgent. It's an abandoned warehouse. Used to be a textile factory. Been closed for 3 years. How far? 20 minutes from your location. Marcus was already moving. "Call the police. Tell them where we're going. Tell them to hurry." "Marcus, wait for backup. There's no time." They rode faster than they'd ever ridden before. 20 minutes felt like 20 hours. Every second that passed was a second Lily might not have. The warehouse loomed at the end of a dead-end street, its windows dark, its walls covered in graffiti. A white sedan was parked near the entrance, the same sedan from Hack's photographs. "He's here," Rosa said. Marcus killed his engine and approached on foot. Tank and Rosa flanked him, moving silently through the shadows. The main door was slightly ajar. Marcus pushed it open and stepped inside. Darkness. Silence. The smell of dust and mold and something else. Something he couldn't identify, but that made his skin crawl. Then he heard it. A muffled cry, coming from somewhere deeper in the building. He ran, through a maze of abandoned machinery and collapsed shelving following the sound his heart in his throat. He found her in a back room. Lily was tied to a chair, her hands bound behind her back, a gate in her mouth. Her eyes were wide with terror, tears streaming down her face. But she was alive. Marcus rushed to her, pulling the gag away, working at the ropes. "Lily, I'm here. You're okay. I've got you." She was sobbing, trying to sign with her bound hands, but he couldn't understand her. "Slow down. It's okay. You're safe now." He got the ropes loose, and she threw herself into his arms, clinging to him like he was the only solid thing in the world. "I knew you'd come," she signed when she finally pulled back. "I knew you'd find me. I told you I wasn't going anywhere. He said no one would look for me. He said no one cared about a deaf girl who couldn't scream. He was wrong." Tank and Rosa burst into the room behind him. "Where is he?" Tank demanded. "Where's Hoffman?" Lily pointed toward a door at the back of the room. "He left a few minutes ago. He said he was going to get his car. He said he was taking me somewhere far away where no one would ever find me." Marcus's blood boiled. "Rosa, stay with Lily. Tank with me." They pushed through the back door and found themselves in an alley behind the warehouse. The white sedan was still there, engine running. And standing beside it, keys in hand, was Gerald Hoffman. He saw them and froze. For a split second, nobody moved. Then Hoffman bolted. Marcus was faster. He tackled Hoffman before he'd made it 10 feet, slamming him into the pavement with all the force of his fear and fury. "Get off me!" Hoffman screamed. "Help someone, help! Shut up!" Tank grabbed him by the collar and hauled him to his feet. "You're not going anywhere." Hoffman's face twisted with rage. "You can't do this. I have rights. I'll sue you. You kidnapped a 14-year-old girl," Marcus said, his voice deadly calm. "You've been stalking her for months. You had photographs of her in your storage unit. You think anyone's going to care about your rights? I didn't do anything. I was just... Save it for the police." Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Hoffman's eyes darted around looking for an escape that didn't exist. "You don't understand," he said, his tone shifting, becoming almost pleading. "I wasn't going to hurt her. I just wanted to talk to her, to be her friend." "Friend?" Marcus stepped closer, his fists clenched. "You tied her to a chair. You gagged her. You were going to take her somewhere no one would find her. That's not you're twisting everything. The only thing that's going to be twisted is your face if you don't shut your mouth." 3 patrol cars screamed into the alley lights flashing. Officers poured out, weapons drawn. "Hands up! Everyone hands up now!" Marcus and Tank raised their hands slowly. Hoffman did the same, but his face had gone pale. "Officers, these men attacked me. I was just Gerald Hoffman." The lead officer approached, handcuffs ready. "You're under arrest for kidnapping, stalking, and unlawful imprisonment. You have the right to remain silent." "What? No, I didn't do anything." "They're lying. We found the girl inside. We found your photographs. We found everything." Hoffman's face crumpled as the cuffs clicked around his wrists. "You don't understand. I loved her. I was trying to protect her." Marcus felt sick. "Get him out of here." They dragged Hoffman toward the patrol car, his protests fading into the night. Marcus walked back into the warehouse, back to the room where Lily was sitting with Rosa, a blanket wrapped around her shoulders. She looked up when he entered. "Is it over?" "Yeah, Lily, it's over. They got him." She started crying again, but this time it was different. Relief instead of terror, hope instead of despair. "I thought I was going to die," she signed. "When he grabbed me, when he put me in his car, I thought that was it. I thought I'd never see my mom again. I'd never see you again." "But you did. You're here. You're safe. Because of you. Because you didn't give up." Marcus knelt down in front of her. "I made you a promise. Remember I told you I wasn't going anywhere?" Lily nodded. "I thought when you didn't come right away, I thought maybe you couldn't find me. I thought maybe I was really invisible after all." "You were never invisible, Lily. Not to me. Not to anyone who matters." Grace arrived 15 minutes later in a police escort. She ran to Lily and collapsed beside her, holding her daughter so tight it seemed like she'd never let go. "My baby. Oh God, my baby. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." "Mom, it's okay. I'm okay. I should have been there. I should have protected you. You couldn't have known. Nobody could have known." Grace looked up at Marcus, her face streaked with tears. "You saved her. You saved my daughter." "We all did." "No." Grace shook her head. "You believed her when nobody else did. You saw her when nobody else could. You saved her life." Marcus didn't know what to say, so he just nodded. An EMT approached to check on Lily. She was physically unharmed. Hoffman hadn't hurt her, not yet, but the trauma was written all over her face. "We'd like to take her to the hospital for observation," the EMT said, "just to make sure everything's okay." Grace nodded. "I'll go with her." As they helped Lily toward the ambulance, she stopped and turned back to Marcus. "Will you come visit me? Try and stop me." She smiled, small, fragile, but real. "Thank you for not giving up on me." Then she was gone, disappearing into the ambulance with her mother. Tank walked up beside Marcus, watching the ambulance pull away. "Hell of a night." "Yeah. You okay?" Marcus took a deep breath. The adrenaline was fading, leaving behind exhaustion so deep it felt like it went all the way to his bones. "I will be." Rosa joined them, her expression thoughtful. "The cops want to talk to us. Take our statements." "I figured. We should probably leave out the part where we broke into his storage unit." "Probably." They walked toward the police officers waiting by their cars. Marcus knew there would be questions, lots of them. Some would be hard to answer, but none of that mattered right now. What mattered was that Lily was safe. What mattered was that Gerald Hoffman was in handcuffs. What mattered was that for once, for one girl, the system hadn't failed. Because someone had stepped in when the system couldn't. Because sometimes that was all it took. One person willing to see. One person willing to act. One person willing to refuse to give up. At the police station, Marcus sat in an interrogation room that felt too small, answering the same questions over and over. How did you know the victim? How did you find the location? Why did you go there instead of calling the police? He answered truthfully. Mostly. Detective Rivera. The woman across the table from him studied him with sharp eyes. You know, most people would have stayed out of this. Called it in and let us handle it. Most people didn't see her signing for help in that parking lot. And you did. I did. Because your sister's deaf. Yes. Rivera leaned back in her chair. Hoffman's talking, trying to cut a deal. Says he's got information on other cases, other girls. Marcus's stomach turned. How many? We don't know yet. But based on what we found in his storage unit, in his laptop, in his apartment, could be dozens. Jesus. Yeah. Rivera exhaled slowly. You didn't just save one girl tonight. You might have saved dozens. Marcus didn't know how to process that. What happens now? Now we build a case, a strong one. Make sure he never sees the outside of a prison cell again. And Lily, she's safe. Her mother's with her. She's going to need counseling support, but physically she's fine. Good. Rivera stood and extended her hand. You did good, Mr. Cole. I don't usually say this to civilians who take matters into their own hands, but you did good. Marcus shook her hand. I hope you're right. I am. Go home. Get some rest. You've earned it. But Marcus didn't go home. He went to the hospital. Lily was in a private room, her mother asleep in a chair beside the bed. The room was quiet, except for the soft beep of monitors. Lily was awake. She looked up when Marcus appeared in the doorway. You came, she signed. I said I would. He walked over and sat in the chair on the other side of her bed. How are you feeling? Tired. Scared. Happy. All at once. That makes sense. The police said he might have hurt other girls. Before me. Yeah. I keep thinking, what if you hadn't been in that parking lot? What if nobody had seen me? But I was, and I did. Lily's eyes filled with tears. I spent so long thinking I was invisible, that my voice didn't matter because I couldn't use it like everyone else. But you showed me that's not true. It was never true, Lily. Your voice matters. Maybe more than anyone else's. Because you had to fight harder to be heard. She reached out and took his hand. I'm not going to be invisible anymore. I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to help other girls who feel like no one's listening. Marcus squeezed her hand. I believe you will. Grace stirred in her chair, waking slowly. When she saw Marcus, she sat up straighter. You're here. I wanted to make sure she was okay. Grace's eyes glistened. Stay. Please. Just for a little while. So he did. He stayed until the sun came up, until the nurses came for their morning rounds, until Lily finally fell asleep with a peace on her face he'd never seen before. And as he walked out of the hospital into the morning light, Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Purpose. Real, solid, unshakable purpose. He'd spent years riding with the Iron Guardians, thinking brotherhood was about loyalty and reputation and having each other's backs. But now he understood. Brotherhood was about this, showing up when it mattered, fighting for people who couldn't fight for themselves, being the voice for those who had been silenced. His phone buzzed. Tank. You good, brother? Yeah, I'm good. Club's meeting at noon. Everyone wants to hear what happened. I'll be there. He hung up and climbed on his bike. The city was waking up around him. People heading to work, kids going to school, life moving forward like it always did. But for one 14-year-old girl, everything had changed. And for Marcus Cole, nothing would ever be the same. The clubhouse was packed when Marcus walked in at noon. Every member of the Iron Guardians was there, standing room only, their faces a mixture of curiosity, concern, and something Marcus hadn't expected, pride. Tank met him at the door. How's the girl? She's going to be okay. Physically, at least. And mentally. That's going to take time. Rosa pushed through the crowd to reach them. The news is already running the story. They're calling you a hero. Marcus shook his head. I'm not a hero. I just did what anyone should have done. But nobody else did. Old Pete's voice cut through the noise. Marcus turned. Pete was standing near the bar, his arms crossed, his expression unreadable. You were right, Pete said slowly, like the words cost him something. I didn't want to get involved. I thought it would bring trouble, but you were right. Pete, let me finish. Pete walked closer, his eyes meeting Marcus's. I've been riding with this club for 30 years. I've seen a lot of things, done a lot of things. But what you did, what you all did, that's something different. That's something worth being proud of. He extended his hand. Marcus shook it. Next time something like this comes up, Pete said, count me in. A murmur of agreement rippled through the room. Tank stepped up onto a chair so everyone could see him. Listen up. What happened last night wasn't just about one girl. It was about who we are, what we stand for. We've always said we're a family. We've always said we protect our own. But last night we proved that family extends beyond these walls. He looked around the room. Marcus saw a girl in trouble. He didn't look away. He didn't tell himself it wasn't his problem. He stepped up. And because of that, a 14-year-old kid is alive today instead of... He stopped, unable to finish the sentence. We're bikers, Tank continued. People look at us and see the leather that patches the bikes. They make assumptions. But we know who we really are. And last night we showed the world. Rosa raised her hand. I have a proposal. What if this wasn't a one-time thing? What if we made it official? What do you mean? Someone asked. I mean a program. Something organized. We call it Guardian Watch. We work with schools, community centers, families. When someone needs protection and the system can't provide it, we step in. The room went quiet. Then, one by one, hands started going up. Marcus felt something shift in his chest. Something that had been broken for a long time, finally clicking into place. All in favor? Tank asked. The response was unanimous. Then it's official. Guardian Watch is born. Detective Rivera called Marcus that afternoon. Hoffman's lawyer is trying to negotiate a plea deal. Marcus gripped the phone tighter. What kind of deal? He wants to plead guilty to reduced charges in exchange for information about other victims. How many others? Rivera paused. He's claiming at least 15 girls across 5 states over the past 8 years. Marcus felt sick. And you're going to let him make a deal. It's not my call. But Marcus, if his information leads us to other victims, to closure for other families. I understand. There's something else. Some of those girls were never found. If Hoffman knows where they are... Marcus closed his eyes. Do what you have to do. We will. But I wanted you to know whatever happens with the legal Sid, what you did matters. You stopped him. You saved Lily. And you might have saved others we don't even know about yet. That doesn't feel like enough. It never does. But it's something. After he hung up, Marcus sat alone in his apartment, staring at the wall. 15 girls. Maybe more. How many of them had tried to ask for help? How many of them had been ignored, dismissed, told they were imagining things? How many of them had disappeared because nobody was paying attention? His phone buzzed. A text from Grace. Lily's asking for you. Can you come by the hospital? He was on his bike in 5 minutes. Lily looked better than she had that morning. There was color in her cheeks. And when she saw Marcus, she actually smiled. You came back. I told you I would. Grace stood up from her chair. I'm going to get some coffee. Give you 2 a minute. When she was gone, Lily patted the edge of her bed. Sit. Marcus sat. The detective came to see me, Lily signed. She told me about the other girls. She shouldn't have. I asked. I needed to know. Marcus didn't respond. 15 girls, Marcus. 15. And I'm one of the lucky ones. You're not lucky, You're brave. I don't feel brave. I feel angry. Good. Hold on to that. Lily's hands moved faster now, her signs sharp and emphatic. He picked me because I'm deaf. Because he thought nobody would hear me if I screamed. Because he thought I was an easy target. He was wrong. But what about the others? What about the girls who didn't have someone like you watching? What about the girls who signed for help and nobody understood? Marcus took her hands, stilling them. That's why we're starting Guardian Watch. So there will always be someone watching. Someone who understands. Lily's eyes widened. What's Guardian Watch? It's something new. Something the club is doing. We're going to work with schools and community centers, keep an eye out for kids who need protection. Make sure nobody slips through the cracks. Because of me. Because of you. Lily was quiet for a long moment. I want to help. Lily. I'm serious. When I'm better, when I'm older, I want to be part of it. I want to help other kids like me. Marcus studied her face. The fear was still there, buried deep. But something else was growing alongside it. Determination. Purpose. We'll figure it out together, he said. A knock at the door made them both turn. A woman stood in the doorway, mid-30s dark hair, professional clothes, but it was her hands that caught Marcus's attention. She was signing. Lily Chen. Lily nodded. My name is Dr. Sarah Mitchell. I'm a trauma counselor who specializes in working with deaf and hard-of-hearing children. Detective Rivera asked me to come see you. Lily looked at Marcus, uncertain. It's okay, he signed. Talk to her. He stood to leave, but Lily grabbed his hand. Stay, please. So he stayed. He sat in the corner while Dr. Mitchell pulled a chair close to Lily's bed and began signing questions, her movements gentle and patient. Can you tell me about what happened? Lily's hands trembled as she started to respond. The story came out slowly at first, then faster, the words tumbling over each other like water breaking through a dam. She talked about the first time she noticed Hoffman, the way he watched her, the fear that nobody would believe her, the moment in the parking lot when she thought she was going to disappear forever. And then she talked about Marcus. He saw me, she signed, when nobody else did. He understood me when nobody else could. Dr. Mitchell glanced at Marcus, then back at Lily. It sounds like he saved your life. He did. But it's more than that. Lily's hands moved carefully, choosing her words. He made me feel like I mattered, like my voice, my real voice, was worth listening to. Marcus felt his throat tighten. That's a powerful thing, Dr. Mitchell signed. Feeling heard. I never felt it before, not really. People looked at me and saw my disability first. They saw what I couldn't do. But Marcus saw what I could do. He saw me. When the session was over, Dr. Mitchell asked to speak with Marcus privately. She's remarkable, the doctor said. What she's been through would break most adults, but she's already thinking about how to help others. That's just who she is. No, that's who she became, because someone believed in her. Dr. Mitchell studied him. You understand that, don't you? The impact you've had on her. I just did what anyone would have done. But that's not true, is it? Most people walked past that parking lot without seeing anything. Most people would have told themselves it wasn't their business. You didn't. Marcus didn't know what to say. Lily told me about Guardian Watch, the program your club is starting. It's still in the early stages. I'd like to be involved, volunteer my services. There are a lot of children out there who need what Lily found, someone willing to see them. We'd be grateful for the help. Dr. Mitchell handed him her card. Call me when you're ready to get started. As she walked away, Marcus looked down at the card in his hand. Things were changing, faster than he'd expected. 2 weeks later, Lily was released from the hospital. Marcus was there when Grace brought her home. Tank Rosa and a dozen other Iron Guardians lined the street, their bikes gleaming in the afternoon sun. Lily stopped when she saw them. "What is this? Welcome home," Marcus signed. Lily's eyes filled with tears. "You didn't have to." "Yeah, we did." Grace put her arm around her daughter, her own eyes glistening. "Thank you, all of you." Tank stepped forward and handed Lily something wrapped in paper. "From all of us." Lily unwrapped it carefully. It was a leather jacket. Child-sized. On the back, hand-stitched in silver thread, were 3 words: protected, heard, family. Lily ran her fingers over the stitching. "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," Rosa said. "You're one of us now." Lily looked at Marcus, then at the bikers lined up behind him, then back at the jacket in her hands. "Family," she signed. "Family." Marcus signed back. The news about Hoffman broke 3 days later. He had taken a plea deal. Life in prison, without parole, in exchange for information about his other victims. The information he provided led police to the remains of 3 girls who had been missing for years. 3 families finally had answers. 3 girls who had been forgotten by the system were finally being remembered. But for Marcus, it wasn't enough. He stood at the edge of a memorial service for one of the victims, a 16-year-old named Megan, who had disappeared 4 years ago. Her parents stood at the front, clutching each other, their faces hollow with grief. Rosa stood beside him. "You okay?" "No." "Want to talk about it?" She was 16. She had her whole life ahead of her, and he took it because nobody was watching. Rosa was quiet for a moment. "We can't save everyone, Marcus. We can only do what we can." "It doesn't feel like enough." "It never does. But that's why we keep going. Because even if we can't save everyone, we can save someone. And that someone matters." Marcus watched Megan's parents accept condolences from friends and family. "I keep thinking about Lily, about how close we came to losing her. But we didn't. She's alive. She's healing. And she's going to do incredible things because you gave her that chance. I just wish I could have given Megan the same chance." "So do I." Rosa put her hand on his shoulder. "But we can honor her by making sure it doesn't happen to someone else. That's what Guardian Watch is for." Marcus nodded slowly. "You're right. I usually am." Despite everything, Marcus almost smiled. A month after Lily came home, Guardian Watch had its first official meeting. 23 Iron Guardians showed up along with Dr. Mitchell, 2 social workers, and a detective from Rivera's unit who had asked to be involved. Marcus stood at the front of the room. 6 weeks ago, I was putting my bike away in a parking lot when I saw a girl signing for help. I didn't know her. I didn't owe her anything. But I understood what she was saying, and I couldn't walk away." He paused, looking around the room. "That girl is Lily Chen. She's 14 years old, she's deaf, and she's alive today because someone was paying attention. But there are other Lilies out there, kids who are being watched, followed, targeted, kids who are asking for help in ways that most people don't understand. Kids who are invisible to a system that's supposed to protect them. That's why we're here. That's what Guardian Watch is about. We're going to be the ones who pay attention, the ones who see, the ones who don't walk away." Tank stood up. "How does this work?" "What do we actually do? We partner with schools and community centers. We run awareness programs. We train people to recognize the signs of stalking and predatory behavior, and when someone needs protection that the system can't provide, we step in." "We're not vigilantes," Rosa added. "We work with law enforcement, not against it. We follow the rules. We document everything. And when we find a threat, We hand it over to people who can do something about it. Detective Martinez, the officer Rivera had sent, stood up. I've been a cop for 15 years. I've seen what happens when good people stay silent. I've seen cases fall apart because nobody was willing to step forward. What you're proposing, this partnership, could save lives. I'm honored to be part of it. The room buzzed with energy. So what's our first step? Someone asked. Marcus looked at Dr. Mitchell. Sarah's been working on a training program. How to recognize warning signs. How to communicate with kids who might be in danger. How to document what we see without putting ourselves or them at risk. Training starts next week, Dr. Mitchell said. Anyone who wants to be part of Guardian Watch needs to complete it. No exceptions. Over the next few months, Guardian Watch grew beyond anything Marcus had imagined. Other motorcycle clubs reached out wanting to start their own chapters. Schools requested presentations. Community centers asked for partnerships. And the stories started coming in. A boy in Phoenix, whose stepfather had been abusing him for years. A girl in Seattle who was being trafficked by someone she thought was her boyfriend. A teenager in Miami who had been planning to run away with a man she met online until a Guardian Watch volunteer recognized the warning signs and intervened. Each story was different, but they all had one thing in common. Someone had seen. Someone had listened. Someone had acted. Marcus kept in touch with Lily throughout it all. She was back in school now, seeing Dr. Mitchell twice a week, slowly rebuilding the life that had been shattered. I testified today, she signed during one of their visits, at Hoffman's sentencing hearing. I know, I was there. Lily's eyes widened. You were? I didn't see you. I was in the back. I didn't want to distract you. What did you think? I think you were the bravest person in that room. Lily looked down at her hands. I almost didn't do it. I almost told them I couldn't face him. But then I thought about the other girls, the ones who never got to tell their stories, and I knew I had to speak for them. You did. And because of you, he's never getting out. Life without parole. Lily's hands moved slowly. The judge said it was the maximum sentence possible. It's what he deserved. Is it? Lily looked up at him. Sometimes I think about what he did to me, what he did to those other girls, and I wonder if any sentence is really enough. It's not about enough, Marcus said. It's about making sure he can never hurt anyone again. And you helped make that happen. Lily was quiet for a long moment. I'm going to be okay, aren't I? Yeah, Lily. You're going to be more than okay. Promise? Marcus smiled. I promise. That night, Marcus went home and called his sister. Maya answered on the second ring, her face appearing on the video screen with a smile that always made him feel like everything was going to be all right. Hey, big brother. Long time no see. I know, I'm sorry. Things have been crazy. I heard. You're famous now. The biker hero who saves deaf kids. Marcus laughed. That's not exactly... I'm proud of you, Marcus. Maya's hands moved with the ease of a lifetime of practice. What you did for that girl, what you're doing with Guardian Watch, it matters. It started because of you. You know that, right? If you hadn't taught me to sign, if I hadn't learned to see the world the way you see it, then someone else would have been there for Lily. Maybe, but it was me, because of you. Maya's eyes glistened. Come visit soon, okay, I miss you. I will, I promise. After they hung up, Marcus sat in the darkness of his apartment, thinking about everything that had changed since that afternoon in the parking lot. He'd gone out that day expecting nothing. Just another Saturday. Just another ride. But one moment, one girl's desperate hands had changed everything. And now, because of that moment, hundreds of kids had a chance they might not have had before. It would never feel like enough. But it was something. And sometimes, something was all it took. 6 months had passed since that afternoon in the parking lot. The same cracked asphalt, the same rows of cars glinting in the afternoon sun, the same entrance where families walked in and out, arms full of shopping bags. But Lily Chen was not the same girl who had signed for help to a stranger on a motorcycle. She stood near the spot where it had happened, wearing the leather jacket the Iron Guardians had given her. On her face was an expression Marcus had never seen before. Peace. "This is where it started," she said, her voice stronger than it had been 6 months ago. A small crowd had gathered. A local reporter with a camera crew, representatives from the mayor's office, parents, teachers, community members who had heard Lily's story and wanted to see the girl who had survived. Grace stood beside her daughter, pride and pain mixing on her face. Marcus Tank Rosa and a dozen other Iron Guardians formed a line behind them, their bikes gleaming in the sunlight. "This is where I thought no one would ever see me," Lily continued. "Where I thought asking for help wouldn't matter." She turned and looked at Marcus. "But someone did see me, and that changed everything." The reporter stepped forward. "Lily, can you tell us what happened that day?" Lily took a breath. She'd practiced this, written it down, rehearsed it in front of the mirror until the words felt natural. But standing here in the place where she'd almost lost everything, the rehearsed version didn't matter anymore. So she told the truth. "A man had been following me for weeks. I tried to tell people, but no one believed me. They thought I was imagining things. They thought because I'm deaf, because I can't speak the way they do, that my fear didn't count." Her hands moved as she spoke, the two languages flowing together. "That day he grabbed me. He started pulling me toward his car. And I knew if I didn't do something, I would disappear, just like other girls before me." She paused. "So I signed. 3 words. He's not my dad." Her eyes found Marcus in the crowd. And this man, this stranger on a motorcycle, he understood. He didn't ignore me. He didn't walk away. He believed me when no one else had. The reporter turned to Marcus. "And you're with the Iron Guardians, a motorcycle club?" Marcus nodded. "I am. That's not the typical image people have of bikers." "Maybe not, but family doesn't look the same for everyone, and sometimes the people who protect you aren't the ones you expect." Grace stepped forward, her voice quiet but clear. "When the police told us there wasn't enough evidence to do anything, I felt helpless. I didn't know how to keep my daughter safe." She gestured to the bikers behind her. "But these people, they didn't give up. They didn't walk away. They found the man who was threatening her, and because of them, he's in prison now. He can't hurt anyone else." The reporter turned back to Lily. "You've become something of a symbol for other children who've experienced what you went through. How does that feel?" Lily's hands moved slowly, deliberately. "I don't want to be a symbol. I want to be a voice. For all the kids who feel invisible. For all the kids who try to ask for help, and nobody listens." She looked directly into the camera. "I want them to know that their voice matters, even if they can't speak, even if nobody seems to understand. Keep trying, keep reaching out. Because somewhere someone is watching. Someone will see you." After the interview, as the crowd dispersed, a woman approached Marcus. She was nervous, clutching her purse with both hands, her eyes red like she'd been crying. "Excuse me, are you the one who helped Lily?" "Yeah." The woman's face crumpled. "I just wanted to say thank you. My daughter, she goes to school with Lily. She's deaf too." Marcus waited. "After she heard what happened, she told me something she'd been hiding. A man had been watching her at the bus stop, taking pictures. She was too scared to say anything because she thought I wouldn't believe her." The woman's voice broke. But after Lily's story, she felt brave enough to speak up. "We reported it. The police found him. He had pictures of dozens of children on his phone." Marcus felt the weight of it settle over him. She's safe now. Yes. Because of you. Because you didn't look away. She reached out and squeezed his hand. You didn't just save Lily. You saved my daughter, too. Thank you. She walked away, disappearing into the crowd. Tank appeared at Marcus's side. You okay? Yeah. Marcus watched the woman go. Just thinking. About what? About how one moment can change everything, for better or worse. That's the thing about moments, Tank said. You never know which ones are going to matter until they're already gone. Lily ran over her face, flushed with excitement. The mayor's office wants to give me an award, a commendation for bravery. That's incredible, Lily. Will you come to the ceremony? Try and stop me. Lily grinned. Then she hugged him, quick, fierce, unexpected. Thank you for listening, she signed when she pulled back. Marcus signed back. Thank you for being brave enough to ask. The ceremony was held 2 weeks later at City Hall. The auditorium was packed. Lily sat in the front row with her mother, Dr. Mitchell, and the Iron Guardians, who had become her extended family. The mayor stood at the podium, reading from prepared remarks. Today we honor a young woman whose courage has inspired an entire community. In the face of unimaginable fear, she found a way to ask for help. And because of her bravery, and the bravery of those who answered her call, a dangerous predator is behind bars, and countless other children are safer. He turned to Lily. Lily Chen, please come forward. Lily walked to the podium, her steps steady, her head high. The mayor handed her a plaque. On behalf of the city, I present you with this commendation for exceptional bravery. The audience applauded. Cameras flashed. But Lily wasn't looking at the plaque. She was looking at the crowd. May I say something? The mayor looked surprised, but nodded. Of course. Lily stepped up to the microphone. Her hands moved as she spoke, signing for those who understood. 6 months ago, I was invisible. Not because I wasn't there, but because nobody was looking. I tried to tell people I was in danger, and they told me I was wrong. They told me to stop worrying. They told me I was imagining things. She paused. But I wasn't imagining things. And neither are the thousands of other children who feel the same way I did. Children who are scared. Children who are being watched. Children who are trying to scream for help in whatever way they can. Her voice grew stronger. I'm standing here today because one man paid attention. One man saw my hands moving and understood what I was saying. One man chose to step in when everyone else looked away. She found Marcus in the crowd. But it shouldn't take a stranger on a motorcycle to save a child's life. It should take all of us. Paying attention. Listening. Believing. The auditorium was silent. So I'm asking you, everyone in this room, everyone watching, to be the person who sees, to be the person who listens, to be the person who believes. She lifted the plaque. This award isn't for me. It's for everyone who refused to give up. For the Iron Guardians who put their lives on hold to protect a girl they didn't know. For my mom who never stopped fighting. For Dr. Mitchell who helped me find my voice again. And for Marcus Cole who saw me when I was invisible. She turned to face him directly. Thank you for teaching me that my voice matters, even when the world tries to silence it. Marcus felt tears sting his eyes. The audience rose to their feet. The applause was thunderous. But Marcus barely heard it. All he could see was Lily, the girl who had been too afraid to speak, now standing before hundreds of people demanding to be heard. After the ceremony, Marcus stood outside City Hall, watching the crowd disperse. Rosa found him leaning against his bike. Hell of a speech. She's something else. She is. Rosa studied his face. You're thinking about leaving, aren't you? Marcus looked at her sharply. What makes you say that? Because I know you. You finished what you started. Hoffman's in prison. Lily's safe. Guardian Watch is up and running. The chapter's closed. It's not closed. It's just beginning. For Guardian Watch, yeah, but for you, Rosa shrugged. You've got that look, like you're already somewhere else. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. My sister wants me to come visit, spend some time with her in Seattle. So go. What about the club? What about Guardian Watch? We'll be fine. Tank can handle things while you're gone. And Guardian Watch has enough volunteers now to run itself. It doesn't feel right. Walking away. Rosa laughed. Who said anything about walking away? You're taking a trip, Marcus. Not dying. I know, but nothing. Rosa put her hand on his shoulder. You've given everything to this for 6 months. You deserve a break. And Maya deserves to see her brother. Marcus thought about it. Maybe you're right. I'm always right. You should know that by now. Before he could leave, there was one more thing Marcus needed to do. He drove to Lily's apartment that evening. Grace answered the door. Marcus, come in. Lily's in her room. Actually, I wanted to talk to both of you. They sat in the living room, Marcus on one side, Grace and Lily on the other. I'm going to Seattle for a while, to see my sister. Lily's face fell. For how long? A few weeks, maybe a month? But what about Guardian Watch? What about... Guardian Watch will be fine. Tank and Rosa are taking over while I'm gone, and Dr. Mitchell has everything under control. Lily's hands moved rapidly. But I'll miss you. I'll miss you too. But this isn't goodbye, Lily. I'll be back. Promise, Marcus smiled. I promise. Grace reached over and took his hand. Thank you, Marcus. For everything. I don't know how to... You don't have to thank me. Yes, I do. Grace's eyes were bright with tears. You gave me back my daughter. Not just her life, but her spirit, her courage, her voice. That was always there. I just helped her find it. Lily stood up and walked over to Marcus. She pulled something from her pocket and pressed it into his hand. It was a keychain. Silver shaped like a hand making the ASL sign for I love you. I made it for you, she signed. For your sister. I thought she might like it. Marcus turned it over in his hands, his throat tight. She'll love it. Lily hugged him then longer than before, harder than before. Come back soon. Okay, I will. And call me, every week. Every week? She pulled back and looked at him with those eyes that had seen too much survived, too much hoped too much. You changed my life, Marcus. I'm never going to forget that. You changed mine too, Lily, more than you know. The ride to Seattle took 3 days. 3 days of open road, empty highways, and nothing but his thoughts for company. Marcus thought about everything that had happened. The parking lot, the chase, the warehouse, the trial, the healing. He thought about Gerald Hoffman rotting in prison where he belonged. He thought about the other girls, the ones who had been saved, and the ones who hadn't. He thought about Guardian Watch, and how a simple idea had grown into something bigger than any of them had imagined. And he thought about Lily, the girl who had taught him that courage wasn't about being unafraid. It was about being terrified and still reaching out anyway. When he finally pulled up to Maya's house, she was waiting on the porch. She ran down the steps before he even killed the engine, throwing her arms around him. You're here. You're finally here. I told you I'd come. Maya pulled back, studying his face with the keen eyes of someone who had spent her whole life reading expressions. You look tired. It's been a long 6 months. I know. I've been following everything. The news stories, the interviews. She smiled. You're famous, big brother. I'm not famous. I just did what anyone would have done. But that's not true, is it? Most people wouldn't have done anything. You did. They went inside, and Marcus told her everything. Not the sanitized version he'd given the reporters, but the real story. The fear, the doubt, the moments when he wasn't sure they'd find Lily in time. Maya listened without interrupting, her hands occasionally moving to ask questions or offer comfort. When he finished, she was quiet for a long moment. You saved her life. We all did. But you started it. You saw her when no one else did. Marcus looked at his sister, the person who had taught him sign language, who had shown him a world most people never saw, who had made him the kind of man who would stop for a stranger in a parking lot. Because of you, he said. Everything I did, everything I am, it's because of you. Maya's eyes filled with tears. I'm proud of you, Marcus. So proud. He pulled out the keychain Lily had made and pressed it into her hand. This is from Lily. She wanted you to have it. Maya looked at the silver hand, her fingers tracing the familiar shape. It's beautiful. She made it herself. She said she wanted to thank you. Thank me, I've never even met her. You taught me to see people, Maya. You taught me to listen in ways that most people can't. Without you, I never would have understood what Lily was saying that day. Maya clutched the keychain to her chest. I want to meet her someday. You will. I'll make sure of it. They sat together as the sun set, two siblings who had spent their lives learning to understand each other across the divide of sound and silence. And Marcus realized something he'd been too busy to see before. This was what it was all about. Not the rescues or the awards or the headlines. Connection. Understanding. Being seen. When Marcus returned to Denver, a month later, everything had changed. Guardian Watch had expanded to 15 cities. Other motorcycle clubs had started their own chapters. The program had been featured in national newspapers and on television. And Lily Chen had become a spokesperson for children's safety, speaking at schools and community centers, telling her story to anyone who would listen. Marcus found her at the Iron Guardians clubhouse, surrounded by a group of teenagers who hung on her every word. She was teaching them sign language. This means help. She signed her movements slow and deliberate. And this means safe. And this means I see you. The teenagers copied her signs awkwardly, laughing at their mistakes, trying again. Lily spotted Marcus and her face lit up. You're back. She ran over and hugged him. I told you I'd come back. I know, but I missed you anyway. Marcus looked at the group of teenagers watching them. What's all this? My new project, teaching kids sign language so they can help people like me, so nobody ever has to feel invisible again. Marcus felt a swell of pride so strong it nearly knocked him over. That's incredible, Lily. I learned from the best, she grinned. You showed me that one person can make a difference, so I'm trying to create a lot of one persons. Tank walked over, clapping Marcus on the shoulder. Good to have you back, brother. Good to be back. Things have been busy while you were gone. Guardian Watch has more volunteers than we know what to do with, and we've had 3 successful interventions this month alone. 3, 2 stalking cases and 1 attempted abduction. All handled the right way, documentation, police involvement, follow-through, just like you taught us. Marcus shook his head in amazement. I was gone a month. A lot can happen in a month. Tank smiled. Turns out we built something that doesn't need you to survive. It just needed you to start. Later that evening, as the clubhouse emptied out and the sun dipped below the horizon, Marcus stood alone on the back porch. Rosa found him there, 2 beers in hand. Thought you might need this. Thanks. They drank in comfortable silence for a while. You ever think about how different things would be if you hadn't seen her that day? Rosa asked. All the time. Me too. Rosa stared at the fading sky. One moment, one decision, and look what grew from it. I didn't plan any of this. The best things never are planned. They just happen because someone chooses to do the right thing when it would be easier to do nothing. Marcus thought about that. You think we made a difference? A real one. I know we did. Not because of the numbers or the headlines, but because somewhere out there right now there's a kid who feels a little less alone, a little less invisible, because of what we started. Marcus nodded slowly. That's enough, isn't it? It's more than enough. Rosa raised her beer. To seeing people. To seeing people. They clinked bottles and drank, and as the stars began to appear overhead, Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in a very long time. Not satisfaction, not pride, not even peace. Certainty. Certainty that every choice he'd made, every risk, every sacrifice, every moment of doubt had led him exactly where he needed to be. Standing with his brothers, part of something bigger than himself, ready for whatever came next. Because that was the thing about moments. You never knew which ones would matter until they were gone. But when you chose to pay attention, really pay attention, you could find the moments that changed everything. And once you found them, you could never go back to being blind. In a parking lot 6 months ago, a deaf girl had signed 3 desperate words to a stranger. That stranger had listened. And from that single moment of connection, a movement had been born. Not a movement of bikers or heroes or vigilantes, a movement of people who refused to look away, people who chose to see, people who understood that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply pay attention. Lily Chen had found her voice. Marcus Cole had found his purpose. And somewhere out there, a child who felt invisible was about to discover that someone was watching. Someone who would see them. Someone who would listen. Someone who would never ever look away. Because that was the promise of Guardian Watch. That was the legacy of one moment in a parking lot. And that was the truth that Marcus Cole would carry with him for the rest of his life. Every voice matters. Every person deserves to be seen. And when you choose to listen, really listen, you can change the world. One moment at a time,